start that today has really been wonderful. At least for me, it really has been. Because to see this level of creativity and insight from education to college to languages and storytelling is something that doesn't come easy to most of us. It doesn't for me, for sure. I mean, think about the last time that you met a stranger. It could have been today, and how that conversation went. They probably introduced themselves and said, hello, how are you? And you thought, ew, don't talk to me. But they force you to talk to them, so you start to introduce one another. And this one question comes up, and it always comes up when they ask, so what do you do? And that's when you start to get nervous, and your heart starts pumping because what you do doesn't really represent who you are, and maybe you're not where you want to be, and then you just decide you have to answer. I'm a student, I'm a teacher, I'm a financial loan and mortgage analyst, sub-division level manager. And that's that. But it really isn't. Because this question, it tugs at us. It tugs at us because we have passions that go beyond what many of us do. One of the first memories that I have was from when I was 3 years old. I looked up at the sky and space, and I asked my dad about the stars, about aliens, about when and how we were going to get there. But one thing was for sure. I was going to be a part that will shape this future. And then this 3-year-old started to grow up. And as he grew up, he was told that with his many dreams, he had to focus on one thing. That he had to get a PhD in physics if he wanted to be a part of the rocket and space world. That he had to learn how to code every single day if he wanted to belong to Silicon Valley. And that he had to perfect engineering if he wanted to have the chance to build the great next phone. So I did all of that, except not at all. I went to study economics and Chinese, and I developed my social life, my social skills. Except this passion for technology never subsided. And so over the last 3 years, I looked deep into it and acted upon how can non-technological people take part in the most important technological revolution of our time. And that's when I came to a realization that completely changed the way I view the world and how I operate within it. And that is that anyone can start the great next technology company that will change the world. How? By going against everything you were ever told. We live in a world of hyper-specialization. We're told that we have to focus on a single thing and work on it throughout our lives. And as we move from our primary education to our universities to our professional career, this path continues to get narrower and narrower. And it is perhaps the one thing that's true across all cultures and across all industries. Whether you're American or Chinese, a biologist or an artist, you're told to continue to focus along a specific path. But as we saw today, we have passions that go from one end of the spectrum to the other. And this is where the beauty is. For non-technical people, doing the exact opposite of specialization is the route for technological excellence. And it's the idea that I call becoming a complex coordinator. Complex coordinators are people that instead of focusing on one specific field, they appreciate the breadth of knowledge. That instead of honing a specific set of skills, they curiously acquire knowledge from a variety of fields, areas, passions, and topics. It's people that views the world as a constantly adapting and evolving place, and so they acquire knowledge from as many areas as possible so that they continue to operate within it. And as a result, complex coordination builds a mindset that views technology not as the incremental improvement on the status quo, but rather as a complex net of opportunities in which you have to take the right pieces of the puzzle and bring them together to create something new. What complex coordination results in is not technological innovation in any one way, but rather it's the pulling together of existing components and bringing them together in new packages. And that leads to beautiful technological innovation. And it can be done by anyone, anywhere. This guy did it. He changed the space industry without being a rocket scientist and just redesigning the distribution channels of the network. And this guy did it. He connected all of us online by taking the internet and small businesses, even though he doesn't know how to write a single line of code. And if you ask our current generation, who is the most influential inventor of our time, many would point to this guy, who revolutionized a number of industries, even though he never built a single physical product by himself. And the beauty of this is that complex coordination goes into the essence of creativity. When we think about innovation, we tend to think about continuous change onto what exists. Weibo has definitely been an innovation on Twitter. And the bullet train that takes people from Shanghai to Beijing in a matter of hours and changed the life of thousands has definitely been an innovation on the electrical system of the past. And I really hope the iPhone 8 will be an improvement on the iPhone 7, because I really need a new phone. But this type of innovation requires extremely deep expertise and knowledge. And in our world, it doesn't quite work for all of us. Now, when we think deeply about what creativity is all about, you realize that it's actually just a connection of two pre-existing ideas and the result of what comes when you bring them together. It's when somebody decided to, instead of taking chocolate and flour to create a cake, they would take cheese and sugar and make cheesecake. Except whoever made that made the worst innovation ever, because I would never choose cheesecake over chocolate cake. Creativity. It's a statistical result. And the more components you have access to, the more knowledge you have access to, the more likely you are to be creative. The more likely you are to be a complex coordinator. And we know this because when we look at research, we see that complex coordinators create more breakthroughs, they see the world more accurately, and most importantly, they predict the future more accurately. And their role in innovation, in starting companies and leading them forward, is immense. One of the greatest innovators of all time is Thomas Edison. He has hundreds of patents written under his name. And he's the one who brought electricity to this room. Except he never invented a single thing. Thomas Edison is a brand. He brought 14 poor people together. And it is those 14 people that work to create all the different innovations we are glad to have today. Thomas Edison was a complex coordinator. He understood the different fields in which he was working at, and he understood who was able to make his ideas come true, and brought them together and drove them to become the greatest innovators of all time. The role of complex coordinators in building technology companies is to be the root of them, the foundation. It's the people that see what needs to change about the world and start working on it, which automatically creates a field of gravity that brings together the necessary individuals to make your dreams come a reality. And then as complex coordinators, that you continue to grow your knowledge, you have the ability to continue to push creativity for whatever you start. And it is the perfect timing to be a complex coordinator. Because in a world that has experienced decades of booming and hyper-specialization, we have experts in almost any area that we can imagine. Yet, the deeper you dive into a field, the more narrow and closed-mindedness your idea and your vision of the disadvantages of that field become. It's a trade-off between skills and vision. When I talk to experts, I sometimes imagine them as fish. Because imagine one of those experts did create a technology that allowed you to talk to a fish. And you ask it, how's it going down there in the water? He would look at you weirdly and ask, what's water? The deeper you dive into a field, the more unaware you become of where it requires innovation. And in a world where we have the necessary expertise, we're in desperate need of people that can take a step back and lift the experts out of their silos, building the network and become the thread that connects them and creates complex coordination. Anyone can build a great next technology company that will change the world by adapting the complex coordination mindset and becoming the instigators of technology. And so the next time that you meet a stranger and they ask you this nerve-wracking question of what do you do, you might take a step back and you can think about your passions, about your interests, about how and where they connect and what you can build together. And maybe, just maybe, you will answer, I'm a complex coordinator. Thank you.